how panicked should I be about my finances at the moment?
Look, I'm mindful that it's not easy for some out there. You know, what I've seen in March, we recorded a 6.2% unemployment rate. So that's quite a few Australians out of work. Interestingly enough, with the recent numbers out of the early access to superannuation, 1.63 million Australians have accessed their first $10,000 from super. So that already indicates to us as an economy that there are some out there that are hurting. Towards the end, I'd like to share my top 5 tips on building resilience within your finances. But to come back to your question, Karen, is that even in the face of crisis, it can be difficult to think panic. It can be easy enough to say, you know, I should just sell out and just sit on the side. My encouragement to you is keep calm. From you know, since I started in November of 1987 to today, I've seen markets, you know, retreat and markets also recover.
Yeah.
I've seen economies go into recession and economies recover. As a human race and you know, as Australians, I got to say that we are such a resilient bunch. That my encouragement to you is just keep calm, and it'll come through the other side.
Well, that's encouraging, but I want to talk a little bit about the superannuation for a second. And here's some of the figures that I've discovered recently. So that there's been a lot of people that have accessed their super. They've got that $10,000. So more than 60% of the super spending was spent on discretionary items such as clothes, furniture, restaurants, cars, and alcohol. More than 1 in 10 people used the money to gamble, and 40% of those who accessed their super early had actually recorded no drop in income at all. What would you say to those people?
Well, I guess we can't dictate what they do with their money. As governments and leaders, we can provide assistance and we can provide support. And it is quite, well, I was going to say distressing, but it's sad that the funds that are put away for your retirement effectively are used for discretionary spending. An interesting stat is that I got a call from a young 25-year-old who also asked that question, could I take out $10,000 from my superannuation? And I asked the question, what do you need $10,000 for?
What don't you need it for? You can't do anything with that.
Well, here's the thing, that the answer was, I think I'd like to buy myself a car. 10,000. Well, that makes sense. I mean, we think about when we were 25, where yes, a car was a priority. But I'm naturally going to my numbers as a financial planner. What my numbers are telling me that, you know, when left in a superannuation account environment, $10,000 for a 25-year-old will equate to $120,000 at the age of 65. So effectively, that car is a very expensive $120,000 car. But coming back to your question, Karen, you know, we certainly can't dictate how people are spending. We can only, you know, warn them of the dangers of doing so.
What would be a good thing to spend your superannuation on if you needed it right now?
Glad you asked. So a couple of ways that you could maximise that 10,000. And yes, for most, it will be a way to cushion the drop in income. You know, what we're seeing is the unemployment rate, but what we're seeing is a drop in income of about 20% for most as well. So it's also a way to cushion your expenses. But ultimately, you know, there are other ways that you could optimise it. For example, a young person who might be thinking about buying their first home, the $10,000 could effectively go to their deposit for the first-time buyers. A second one could be that they might look to use that $10,000 to pay off larger debts, would be, you know, as an example, a home loan and so forth. And another example would be what I've seen is that $10,000, instead of investing it within your superannuation, others have used it to invest it outside of their super, so that they've got a little bit more control. They're the ways that you'd look to it. Another way you could look at it is, yes, you might need the $10,000 now. You park it in either in your home loan or an offset account, but when the economy starts to kind of recover, you look to recontribute that back into your super.
So it's just a useful tool that you can have now and then pop it back when you don't need it later.